Can you walk us through the difference and why it matters?
I think if you are rich, that by my definition, that means that you have the money in the bank to buy the things that you want. You can make your mortgage payment, you can make your car payment, you can pay for your dinners out, whatever you want to do, that's rich. Wealthy is independent. It's money in the bank that you're not spending. It is money, it's things that you have not purchased. It's savings, it's investments that's sitting there, not being spent, but it's giving you independence. It's giving you financial independence and psychological independence, where you can live your life in your way without chasing what you think other people want out of you. And there's some pretty astounding examples of the two sides of the spectrum. I use this in the book, The Art of Spending Money. The Vanderbilt family was the richest family that the world had ever seen. Back in the 1800s, Cornelius Vanderbilt, if you adjust it for inflation, he had something like $500 billion was his net worth. And some of the other very wealthy families, the Carnegies, the Rockefellers, did a pretty good job at giving most of their money away to charity. The Vanderbilts basically said, we're going to give it all to our kids and our grandkids and our great-grandkids, and their job is to live the biggest, most ostentatious life that you can possibly imagine. And the biographies that came from there of those Vanderbilt heirs would show, I think without exception, that every single one of them was miserable. These were, if you were a Vanderbilt heir in the early 1900s, the day that you were born, you got $500 million trust fund. And the only thing that was ever expected out of you in life was that you spend as big as you possibly can. And every single one of them was miserable. There's a book called Fortune's Children, written by one of the heirs. His name is Arthur Vanderbilt. And he talks about the history of his ancestors. And it is one of the saddest books I've ever read, because these people are people who maybe you and I and people listening would look at and say, you're so lucky. I can't believe how lucky you got. You just got $1 billion the day you were born. And you read it and you say, like, I would never want that life, because they were very rich. They were the richest people in the world, but they had no independence. Everything was dictated about, even including who they were allowed to marry, was dictated by kind of the social circle of their family. And to me, the most interesting part of the Vanderbilt family is that by this point, today, virtually all the money is gone. There are a couple of Vanderbilt heirs that have some money, but the first Vanderbilt heir who got no inheritance, no trust fund, was Anderson Cooper, the CNN host, who I'm sure most people are familiar with. His mother, Gloria Vanderbilt, was kind of the last person to get a big trust fund. And Anderson Cooper has talked about this, that being the first Vanderbilt heir who didn't get much money was probably a good thing. He was the first person in his family in like 150 years who was told, you have to go figure it out for yourself. You have to build your own career, make your own money, figure out your own way. And he's talked about this, like he's probably the happiest person in his career. Not that he's had a perfect life, but he's probably one of the happiest. And I think that is, again, like if you look at the richest people, because the Vanderbilts were the richest people in the world and they had no wealth by my definition. They had no independence. They had no ability to live their own life.